Use a show that's notoriously fallen off the longer it's gone on. There are a million videos on this site talking about You's fall off and what makes the new season so bad. Today I want to talk about You's glory days, specifically season 1 and what made that season so special and how the seasons following have failed to replicate that success. There's obviously going to be spoiler warnings ahead. I'm talking in this video as if you've already seen the show, so if you haven't and you want to, I advise you skip this one. I think the best part about the first season is how human Joe was. You know his morals and why he was doing what needs to be done to find the love of his life. While he's doing these outright awful things, you get where he's coming from. With Benji, who I'll touch on a little more later, he was Beck's current boyfriend, so Joe had to get rid of him. We as the audience spend a whole episode watching Joe go crazy on what to do with Benji, who he has trapped in the cage. He has this huge moral dilemma. You can tell he really doesn't want to kill Benji. But then Benji insults Beck and he takes it upon himself to do what needs to be done. A small detail they throw in there that I think really shows Joe's humanity off is after the body's been laying there and he needs to do what he needs to do to get rid of it, he goes in and immediately throws up and can't do it. He can't take that body apart, he can't face what he did, and he runs away keeping the body cold until he figures out what to do. He simply can't do it, and just thinking about what he has to do with the body causes him to throw up. Joe is not devoid of emotion. He feels guilt, anger, sadness, happiness, just like everyone else. It's just he feels this emotion of love so strongly that he feels the need to do whatever he can to keep it. It really makes Joe this compelling character that the viewer can really root for, due to always hearing his inner monologue that's executed perfectly by Penn Badgley. The audience knows exactly what Joe is thinking at all times. He's doing these terrible things, but he has genuine reasons behind it, and the audience understands that. That understanding makes us as the audience feel some type of empathy for Joe, as we learn his true intentions, which are always in the interest of Beck, who is his lover. The humanity of his actions and the empathy that the audience gains through his inner thoughts allows us to root for Joe and adds a lot of depth to his character as a whole. That's something that's really missing in the latter seasons of the show. He doesn't show hesitation in his actions as much, if at all, and the terrible things he commits has very loose reasoning and isn't as strong as it was in season 1. He loses that sense of morality that he had. The empathy the audience had is almost gone. Joe basically commits his actions due to his selfishness that is masked by the idea of love. But the audience can tell it isn't real and he's doing things for his own benefit now instead of doing it for the people that he cares about. This could have been done on purpose to show how he is losing his morality, but the issue is Joe's a terrible protagonist without it. He changes so much so fast that it's impossible for us to keep rooting for this guy. They lost the balance that made Joe such a compelling character, and without it, he's just this guy killing people with a love interest on the side. Oh my god, it's another JoJo Hinky cookie review. Today I'm here with...
It's me, Jake from Skillbook Productions.
And today we're going to be reviewing Biscoff cookies.
The double Biscoff cookie!
The #1 JoJo Hinky fan is sadly behind the camera today.
That's me.
But he will also be reviewing the Biscoff cookies with us.
Yeah.
This was the small pack of 6 that costed me $3 at CVS, and each cookie is 70 calories. So yeah, I'm gonna open this and then we'll get to reviewing. While I open this, tell people about your new short film out now.
Recently, a few days ago probably, I don't know how long it would be since this recording, but anyways, Pablo the Skeleton's Precious Little Life, a new short film that I made on the Skillbook Productions channel. We also released the Pablo Blues that coincides with the film because it's in the film. It's pretty cool.
It's gonna be the very first link. Please watch it. He is so cool and awesome, and it was like 90% improvised, right?
Yeah. There were very few things that were actually written down for it, but it was a majority improvised.
Yeah, so this review segment is sponsored by Skillbook Productions. Go watch them right now. Biscoff time. 3, 2, 1. They're gas, bro. Oh, fuck. It kind of tastes like, I mean, my first thought was like a graham cracker, but like a lot more cinnamon. It's like if you combined a graham cracker and a snickerdoodle cookie, and it is very good, in my opinion.
I very much agree with that. It's nice and savory too. It stays in your mouth, which is nice.
I like it in my mouth. I'm really hoping the mic picks up what you're saying.
I like it in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm usually not even like a hard cookie fan. Like I'm a soft cookie guy, but that is so gas.
Yeah. I think it would go nice with some like on a sundae, like stuck in the whipped cream or something.
They make like a Biscoff. I had it once. It's like a Biscoff like nut butter. It's just like cinnamon. It's so. I literally would eat like spoonfuls, which is why I was so fat as a kid.
definitely feel like I have unlocked something in my body now, and I'm going to eat all of these, and I'm going to be like 5 million pounds by the end of this month.
Almost as much as the wristlet.
Yeah.
Almost.
Out of 10, what would you give the Biscoff cookies?
I'd give that like a 10.
A 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's our first ever 10 out of 10. Oh my.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's just they're really good, and I feel like I could eat these all the time.
I also give it my first ever 10 out of 10. They are so fucking. I haven't had them in a couple of years, but oh my god, they are so fucking good.
You've popped my Biscoff cherry.
Jojo Hinky fan in the back, what would you give it?
10 big boom.
Thank you for watching this rendition of Jojo Hinky's Cookie Review with Skilbert Productions.
Yes, Skilbert Productions, that is I.
Make sure you check Jakey Poo down in the description below. Watch his new short film out now. It is so good. Make sure you subscribe to him and give him all of the love, every ounce of it.
I love you.
I love you too. Another thing that season 1 does really well is fleshing out the characters that Joe ends up killing. He kills Benji, Peach, Ron, and of course Beck. Focusing on those first 3 though, the show gives us one or multiple valid reasons for Joe to do what he does. Benji is a self-centered dick who obviously is toxic towards Beck and is shown as responsible for someone else's death. Ron is a physically abusive boyfriend who is blackmailing Claudia into staying in her and Paco's life. Him dying not only frees the single mother and her child from abuse, but it also gives Claudia the opportunity to get clean from drugs and create a better life for her and her son. Little side note, by the way, where the fuck is Paco been? I need his appearance in season 5 before the series is over. I just need to know what he's up to. It's really all I ask, Netflix. Then there's Peach, who is Beck's stalker and kind of like a pre-Joe Joe, if that makes sense. Her death makes it so Beck's career as a writer can really take off, because when she was alive, it was shown that she was kind of sabotaging her writing career. Peach wanted to make it so Beck completely relied on her for everything and was in love with her even though those feelings weren't reciprocated. This gives us as the viewer reasons to defend Joe's killings of these 3 people. Sure, what he's doing is wrong, but is what they're doing right? Is them being gone going to harm the people that we are rooting for? Everything violent Joe does in this season is on the behalf of Beck or Paco. He wants to lift Beck up because he's in love with her, and yeah, it's extreme, but we know where he's coming from. He isn't some deranged killer who's doing it out of his own personal joy or someone who's devoid of emotion. Joe in this first season only kills people who are harming the people that he cares about, whether it be Paco or Beck in this case. The only reason he kills Beck in the end is because she doesn't love him back. He's heartbroken and has no other choice. Because as Beck points out, if Joe gets arrested, who's gonna look out for Paco? After his heart's broken, the only person left that Joe truly cares about is Paco. So he does what he needs to do to make sure he stays protected, even if that is killing the person who he was in love with for a long time. Later seasons kind of slowly drop this idea of Joe doing this out of a place of true love. They're missing this key piece of Joe's compelling character. In the first season, Joe's a person of love first, and a killer second, but in the later seasons, it's flipped around. Joe's a killer first, and the love aspect kind of takes a back seat. We can't get invested in Joe's character because they took away a huge piece of what made him human. He still has all those aspects in the following seasons, it just takes a back seat to his violent nature. And as the series goes on, he kind of loses his romantic side altogether. The humanity that Joe had in season 1 goes away more and more in the following seasons, and it makes the killings he commits feel more for himself more than the love interest. He has some moments, but his main focus isn't love, Kate, or Marianne anymore, it's himself. With the selfish character writing, we lose the complex layer of Joe's character, and we as the viewer forget why we're rooting for this guy in the first place. The final thing I wanted to touch upon in this video is the way that season 1 was formatted in its story, and how the other seasons shouldn't have followed that formula so closely. The first season followed a formula. Joe finds a girl he wants, he does unspeakable things for her, he loses her, gets with someone else as a rebound, and then he goes back to that original girl and she ends up dead. For season 1, this formula worked out beautifully because we knew there was a possibility that everything he had done would catch up to him. It adds a crazy amount of tension as all the evidence against him kind of piles up during the season and we're just waiting for it to explode back in his face. A great example of this is after Peach dies and her family sends a private investigator to investigate her death. When he talks to Joe for the first time while he had Beth locked up, he forgot his jar of piss that he left in Peach's estate where he killed her. This adds so much more because because he was already pulled over by a cop on his way to that estate, so with further digging and investigating into Joe's character there, he could easily get caught for the killing of Peach. Obviously he gets away with it and plants it on Dr. Nikki instead, which ends the Joe and Beck love story. It's a great formula that makes us care about his relationship with Beck, and you really want to see them together for good. We get so close before she snoops and finds his creep stash in the ceiling. The tension that is built from these small mistakes that he's made, or the fact that people he killed are either rich or connected to the police force in some way, it all acclimates into a great ending in my opinion that doesn't really feel rushed or leaves any loose threads. The other 3 seasons try to follow this formula almost to a T, and it just doesn't work as well in my opinion. I think season 2 was honestly done really well before the whole scapegoat at the end that I didn't really care for personally. But the more they try to do this formula, the more we realize that Joe is just gonna get away with his actions somehow. The writing got so lazy that the excuse of a girl who's powerful and rich that comes to save him and clear his name at the end happens twice in a 4-season show. By this point, we know Joe has crazy plot armor and just straight up won't be held accountable for his actions. Which is a bummer because the tension of the story totally deflates when you realize that Joe just won't be caught because he's into some girl with power and money. I rewatched the first 2 seasons of You probably 3 times, and man, if they just stopped there or wrote Joe's story differently, they really could have made a great long-lasting show. But that's just not the case. Joe loses his humanity and morals throughout the season that really makes him a likable protagonist that we want to root for him, even if he does objectively awful things. The people he ends up killing becomes more for his own personal gain, which leaving other people's needs on the back burner. His plot armor just goes crazy and just fully gets rid of the good tension that the first season and a half kind of had. The combination of Joe losing the qualities that made him a compelling character and the uncertainty of the outcome becoming easy to read just makes the show's later seasons almost unwatchable and loses what that first season had that was so special. Those reasons make up my personal rankings of each season. I give the first season a 9 out of 10. I give season 2 an 8 out of 10. It was really good. Once again, just didn't like the ending. Season 3, 6 out of 10, and season 4, awful. It took me forever to watch and get through. 4 out of 10. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the show. If you watch the show, let me know what you think of it down below. If you have any movies or TV shows you want me to check out, write them down. I'll definitely check them out. And as always, make sure to hit those funny buttons below. Check out my podcast with my friend Naku. And until next time, have a great day. I appreciate you. Peace.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone. We bring the boom. Your favorite father.